Welcome to this presentation. I'm Robert Farrell and we're going to discuss the use of video in education. We'll have a look at literature review, benefits and challenges, learning theories, incorporating this into my own work, ethical and legal considerations, and close with my own thoughts. Let's look at the literature review. The Horizon Report 2017 identified a number of trends, challenges and developments in education technology. They said that institutions are building students' digital literacy but must also support their staff. Educators must also think critically about the most effective use of technology in education. I believe this sets an effective context for examining the use of videos in education. According to Winslet 2014, regards videos in education, the cost of capturing, editing and distributing videos has dropped. Video creation and consumption have increased. We can see from the research that video can be used to help students achieve various different learning outcomes. For example, to help students remember or gain conceptual knowledge, we can use videos that contain lists or describe different topics and elements. If we want to help students develop a competence or mastery, we can provide videos that provide an explanation or a review of best practices. If we want to help students build their own video production skills, we can do so by getting them to produce their own videos, share them around, and even gain peer feedback from each other. The research also has identified different forms of educational video. For example, a fly-on-the-wall type, which captures real-life scenario from the perspective of a neutral observer. Others that may show dramatic works, which are scripted or scaffolded to tell a story. Other videos will even be able to communicate and illustrate concepts that may be hard to see or understand. They'll use this using 2D and 3D animations. Let's now take a look at the benefits and challenges. They can be summarized by saying that videos are good, but the pedagogical foundations of them are required. Let's take a quick look at Salem Khan of Khan Academy, where he shows how video can be used to humanize the education process.
We've used your videos to flip the classroom. You've given the lectures. So now what we do, and this could actually happen in every classroom in America tomorrow, what I do is I assign the lectures for homework, and what used to be homework, I now have the students doing in the classroom. By removing the one-size-fits-all lecture from the classroom and letting students have a self-paced lecture at home, and then when you go to the classroom, letting them do work, having the teacher walk around, having the peers actually be able to interact with each other. These teachers have used technology to humanize the classroom.
We can see that video benefits in terms of curriculum design, as lessons can be standardized and distributed to all learners. Many videos also have high production qualities, which can be difficult for institutions to replicate internally. They also free up class time to engage in student-centered, active learning. In this scenario, the role of the educator is to be a curator of content and a facilitator of education. Video can be used as teaching aids to support in the flipped classroom model. They can also engage and motivate learners. They can also help them to catch up and learn outside of the classroom. The key caveat here, however, is that video should be used as a supplement with other forms of teaching and not as a replacement to them. Video can be used at different levels of learning along Bloom's taxonomy if used correctly. However, Winslet 2014 identified that most videos are used to build lower order skills. Thus, we see an opportunity to use video at higher order skill levels. Here are the top 3 challenges I've identified from the literature. The first one is building video and technology-enabled learning skills of educators along with supporting them. The second one is to choose the most appropriate types of videos for different subjects and different learning outcomes. And finally, how to constructively align video into an overall course or module in line with pedagogical best practice. Much of the literature looks at the media production of the video, not its pedagogical construction and effectiveness, according to Winsley. Here, the choice of video is not being made by pedagogical best practice, but by external considerations, such as funding and availability of skilled staff. According to Winsley 2014, the literature seems to be suffering from an everything works syndrome, meaning that researchers see the use of video as favorable when compared to no video at all. This shows that there's a deeper analysis required to identify the most appropriate type of video for different subject matter areas and for different learning outcomes. Here are the top 3 learning theories that I believe are relevant. They are active versus passive learning, constructivism, and the learning journey. With passive versus active learning, there's a concern that students will passively consume video. Videos here must be used to engage learners, to get them to achieve the desired learning outcomes. The research proposes using prompts and questions before, during, and after the students consume the video. My own reflection is that video consumption should not be passive, like traditional or old-style lectures, but be an active and engaging exercise for students. The next learning theory is constructivism. Learning occurs when the learner or student is involved in the process rather than just passively receiving information. The effective use of video can be seen when students will create their own new skills, knowledge, or artifacts by consuming and engaging with the video itself. This is according to LaHeist 2012. My own reflection here is that I originally chose behaviorism for my WIP presentation, but believe constructivism is more appropriate as it shows the best use of video going forward to engage students and even to get them to create their own videos. The third learning theory here is the learning journey. Identified in the research through LaHeist 2012, the journey can be seen as preparation, learning activity, follow-up work, and assessment. Videos are not extensively used along the entire journey. They're mostly used at the preparation phase, with little use at the formative and summative assessment sections. My own reflection here is that there could be a burden on educators to identify the best video and technology to use along the entire journey. This could be supported, however, with the use of an in-house instructional designer. Let's apply this to my own area of teaching, digital marketing. My experience is I'm the course director running the Digital Marketing Academy. I can use video to scale my student volumes globally. I use video in a blended fashion with live and non-live or recorded videos. For example, I use live discussions to support students, provide assignment support in Q&A or pre-recorded videos, tutorials and demonstrations to show students how to use platforms like Google AdWords and Analytics, and I'll even repurpose educational video for marketing and sales objectives. I've also developed a 4-step process that I use. Firstly, I provide primer material to give students introductory information and awareness of a topic. They then join me on a live webinar discussion to talk about the topic and learn in more detail. I follow up by giving one or more additional pieces of material, such as video or reading, and finally the students will be assessed, where they produce their own video or report based on what they've learned in the previous section. Along the entire journey, students are supported through me, my tutors, and peer feedback and support as well with other students using the discussion forums. In the design of this, I used a constructivist approach where I wanted students to create something at the end. It's a flipped classroom model I've adapted for a fully online environment, and I use scaffolding as the depth and complexity of material increases over time. Let's look at ethical and legal considerations. In terms of ethical, we can see that video should be accessible to all students, even those with visual or hearing impaired, along with students who may have poor digital literacy or internet connection. Video should also not shock, offend, insult, or harm the audience. We should also have consideration when recording students. We need to seek their consent before doing so. We must adhere to data protection legislations in the capture, distribution, editing, and destruction of such data. We also should limit who can access the videos that students are in. We can also see legal concerns such as copyright, which covers original literature and dramatic works, sound recordings, typographical arrangements, and computer programs and databases. The guidelines from Griffith College state that we should obey copyright restrictions, limit who can access the material, terminate access at appropriate times, use free-to-use and Creative Commons materials, provide attribution, and provide links rather than file downloads. My closing thoughts here are that I've identified a number of questions to ask or further research to be conducted, and I've done this on a spectrum from looking at the video, educator, institution, and government levels. For example, what makes an effective video? What is the most effective way to address varying video production skills among educators? Do different disciplines use different video types? And are certain institutions better equipped than others to develop educational videos? Let's take a look at the references. Thank you for your time, and I hope you've enjoyed this presentation.